Broadcasting live from WOUB TV in Athens, this is Newswatch.
Different methods were taken to urge young voters to go out to the polls today. One even includes the use of shelter dogs. Good evening, I'm Sean Neidig.
And I'm Mackenzie Pyatt. Thanks for joining us. And the Athens County Board of Elections has experienced a busy few weeks.
Time is winding down for people to get their vote in, and WOUB's Justin Holbrook is outside the Athens County Board of Elections right now. And Justin, it looks pretty calm out there.
Yeah, Sean, I'm outside the Athens County Board of Elections, as you can see, and today they weren't open for voting, but they were yesterday, and there was a huge bump in early voters. And get this, in Ohio, there were 11,000 more votes this year in the presidential election than the 2012 presidential election. And I don't have a hard time believing that, as the line sometimes stretched all the way down to Bagel Street and even to Chipotle. And although they were closed today, the Baker Ballroom Center was open, and that line was also packed, and that was for students all across the area. And now polls are closing at 7:30, so less than an hour to vote. If you haven't voted, you have to get out and do it right now. And now we're at the Board of Elections because in about an hour to an hour and a half, those ballots are going to be put in here. They're going to count them out, and we're going to see how the state of Ohio votes on several different issues and candidates, excuse me. And all of these numbers were actually according to Ohio Secretary of State John Husted. And while I said the early voting numbers were up by 11,000 votes, absentee ballots were actually down by 4% compared to the 2012 presidential election between President Obama and Mitt Romney. And those numbers those numbers yesterday were actually very busy, and I wouldn't be surprised if those 11,000 votes had a big part to do with Athens County. And the rise, it was to be expected because this election, like we've always said, is unprecedented this year.
All right, thanks a lot, Justin. Ohio University students faced long lines at the polls earlier today. Jefferson Hall used to be a polling location for students living in the dorms, but since it is currently under construction, all dorm residents had to vote in Baker Center. The line to vote lasted about 45 minutes. However, that didn't stop many students from casting their ballots. Board of Elections Rover Blaine Gabriel says more people voted in today's election because it is a presidential election.
When it's non-presidential, I mean, it's a steady stream, but nothing like what we've had here today. This is, in my opinion, it's been a very good turnout.
Voters did have the option to vote early, but the Athens Board of Elections said that they had a lower early voter turnout this year.
And in case you needed more incentive to head out to vote, Next Gen Climate was out in Howard Park on Ohio University's campus this afternoon with puppies, encouraging people to vote. The group also had an inflatable obstacle course, Live Size Connect 4 Jenga. The main goal of the event, though, was to get college students and millennials to head to the polls and vote. Next Gen says that they have registered 52,000 voters before the election.
Puppies are awesome. Everyone loves puppies. Democracy is awesome, and everyone loves democracy. So we're just doing everything that we can to make sure that students see that they have an opportunity to vote, and that we can make sure their voices are heard. This is the first election that millennials rival boomers in their numbers when it comes to how many are able to vote. The question is how many of them are actually going to vote. So we're trying to maximize the opportunity that students have to make their voices heard in this election.
Electionland will be making its home in Ohio University's Smart Lab, located in Scripps Hall, with the goal of the project is to make sure that every citizen has the right to vote and that everyone gets a fair chance to vote. All right, and you can keep up with Electionland with those Carter Eckel. He'll be there in the studio tonight going over how that process is going.
Approaching cold front today brought some showers to the region this evening. Good evening, I'm Chris Arbino from the Newswatch Weather Center. Well, today, if you were fortunate enough to get out there this afternoon and vote, you saw some nice conditions out there. A little bit cloudy outside, but you saw your temperatures top out around 68 degrees. Going ahead and taking a look outside right now, 57 degrees out here in Athens with our winds out of the southwest at about 8 miles an hour. You can see that dew point at 47 degrees and our pressure at about 30.11 inches of mercury. And looking at your hour by hour tonight, a chance of light rain going into this evening around midnight, and looking at 3 a.m. some decreasing clouds. It should be a pretty nice night outside. For those of you along the West Virginia Panhandle, you might see some extra rain lingering around into early this morning. But around 6 a.m. we should be mostly cloudy outside. And Mackenzie, I hope you enjoyed the warm fall weather because it looks like going into the week it will go back into more seasonal temperatures across the region.
Thanks, Chris. China Panda on East State Street may be selling beer within the next few months. The restaurant applied for a D1 liquor license, according to City Council President Chris Kinsley. China Panda would be able to sell beer in the store under the license. Kinsley announced the news at last night's City Council meeting. Council members voiced concerns over the amount of alcohol sold in Athens. Concerns over the number of liquor permits were brought up as well. Kinsley said the state won't consider selling any more if none are available.
There have been 11,000 more early votes in Ohio this year compared to 2012. The numbers will continue to increase as additional mailed absentee ballots arrive. Almost 1.8 million ballots are currently cast in the state, with 7.8 million voters. That's a 10% more voters that have had their ballots cast early ahead of Election Day this year than at the same point in the last presidential election. Mailed absentee ballots, however, are down 4%. Ohio residents can cast absentee ballots in person or by the mail without giving a reason. An amendment to the Ohio Constitution that would limit term limits for Ohio Supreme Court justices and get rid of special legal protections to state lawmakers and their staffs has cleared an initial hurdle. A petition submitted on October 28th with more than 1,000 signatures was certified yesterday. The proposal will prevent judges who have served 9 or more straight years on the Ohio Supreme Court from being reelected or appointed. It would also make all state laws apply equally to members of the General Assembly and their staffs.
The government arrested an Ohio man accused of trying to join the Islamic State group. Officials took 20-year-old Aaron Daniels into custody Monday at John Glenn Columbus International Airport while he was attempting to fly to Libya. A months-long investigation found Daniels wiring $250 to an Islamic State group operative back in January. A criminal complaint also alleged that Daniels told an undercover informant that he was interested in committing to jihad. Magistrate Judge Terrence Kemp scheduled a bond hearing for Thursday morning. A railroad employee dies after being struck by a train in Northeast Ohio. Stark County coroner pronounced 37-year-old Larry Thomas dead around 10:30 Sunday night at Wheeling and Lake Erie Railway Yard. Investigators believe Thomas had uncoupled a car and stumbled into the path of the train that ran him over. The conductor of the train called 911 around 9:30 p.m. Today marks a historic presidential election, no matter who wins tonight. Find out what the two major candidates did on Election Day.
And a few southern states experienced voting glitches today. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
Friday nights are all about high school football, but when the games are over and the helmets come off, it's time for some gridiron glory. I'm your host, Danny Dean, back under center. Don't miss a play this season. Join myself and the rest of our team on Friday nights at 11:30 on WOUB, and catch us again on Saturday mornings at 11:30. We are committed to bringing you the stories of players, coaches, and communities, and of course, we can't forget about some highlights. We all know there's nothing better than Friday nights and gridiron glory.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
My professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything. Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
Election Day is finally here. The historic 2016 election wraps up tonight Emily Schmidt has this report from Clinton's Election Day headquarters in New York City.
In a New York polling site located at a neighborhood elementary school, Hillary Clinton did something never done before in U.S. politics. A woman on a major party ticket voted for herself for president.
It is the most humbling feeling, Dan, because, I know how much responsibility goes with this, and so many people are counting on the outcome of this election, what it means for our country, and I'll do the very best I can if I'm fortunate enough to win today.
She cast her ballot just hours after returning from a multi-state swing to key states. Clinton, with her family that's been in the White House before, in an election eve rally with the family in the White House now, a final push against Donald Trump. It's a theme Clinton's running mate Tim Kaine continued, appearing on CNN's New Day shortly after casting his own ballot in Richmond, Virginia.
Hillary and I believe in a community of respect and togetherness, not a community of insults and division.
Donald Trump is back in New York after focusing his last hours in the battlegrounds of Michigan, New Hampshire, North Carolina, and Florida. Speaking of the Sunshine State, more people have already voted in Florida than did in that state during the entire disputed 2000 election. Hillary Clinton urged supporters to be ready to stand in line. More than 570 days of campaigning dependent on people willing to invest their time to vote. At Hillary Clinton Election Night headquarters, I'm Emily Schmidt reporting.
Both Clinton and Trump will be hosting election night parties in New York City. Results of the election are expected to start coming in around 11 p.m.
Several states have had issues with electronic voting systems today. The Board of Elections in Durham County, North Carolina, is recommending that voting hours in the county be extended by an hour and a half. A glitch in the electronic voter check-in system in the county forced the county to do it the old-fashioned way and take roll on paper. The State Board of Elections said that no vote would be affected and that the request was a precautionary one. If the State Board of Election approves the request, the extended hours will apply to all voting locations in the county. And in Columbus, Georgia, some voters have reported voting irregularities. Poll workers say that the glitch in their computer system caused some machines to mistakenly block some voters from submitting their ballots, saying they already voted. The problem has reportedly already been fixed.
And on Wall Street today, stocks varied across the board. Here's a look at stocks of local interest. Participating in bad habits may be contributing to your stress levels. That story's still ahead.
And just how much rain will we see this evening with the passing showers moving across our area? And will we see a weekend cool down for your weekend? I'll have that and more right after this break.
Professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything.
Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
Ohio University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
Friday nights are all about high school football, but when the games are over and the helmets come off, it's time for some gridiron glory. I'm your host, Danny Dean, back under center. Don't miss a play this season. Join myself and the rest of our team on Friday nights at 11:30 on WOUB and catch us again on Saturday mornings at 11:30. We are committed to bringing you the stories of players, coaches, and communities, and of course, we can't forget about some highlights. We all know there's nothing better than Friday nights and gridiron glory.
From the Newswatch Weather Center on the campus of Ohio University, I'm Chris Arbino. Well, many of us today, when we went out to vote, you saw cloudy skies outside and temperatures right around 68 degrees. All in all, not a bad day outside, but this evening, unfortunately, we saw some rain move into the area. Right now here in Athens, 57 degrees under some light rain across the area with our winds out of the southwest at about 8 miles an hour. You see our pressure at about 30.11 inches of mercury. That'll start to decrease going into the next couple of days here as we watch a low pressure approach from the west. Temperatures right now across the region, 58 in Columbus, 57 in Newark, a little bit warmer here in Ironton at 62 and 64. And really, I want you to pay attention to right here across the region. You can see that little temperature gradient. That's that cold front that's finally pushing through the region. You can really expect our temperatures to start falling back into the 50s and into the 40s as we go into our night this evening. Today, a warm day outside, as I mentioned, 68 degrees, a little bit above our normal at 59. And looking at our record at 75 degrees, we really didn't come too close to that. And then checking out your lows tonight, we were right around average for this time of the year. Normal is about 38. We were down about 34, so a chilly start to your morning. And you can see that sunset, 5:19, really makes these days seem awful short this time of the year. Temperatures overnight tonight, Athens at 46 degrees, Columbus at 45, Newark at 46. Basically, most of us here are going to be right around the mid-40 range and expect maybe some lingering showers here across Ironton and Ripley, up into the panhandle of West Virginia. I think back to our west around Chillicothe, you guys will start to see decreasing showers as we go into our night tonight. So checking out your precip caps. Right now you see this high pressure down our southwest, or our southeast rather. That's really starting to hold off this cold front back here across Illinois into Michigan. So that's why we're only seeing some light showers and not some heavier precipitation. But going into overnight tonight, this cold front is going to start to push off to the east coast. It's going to push that high pressure back out to the ocean there. And then going into your precip caps for tomorrow, as I mentioned, some lingering showers here, mainly on the eastern part of Ohio. And then behind that, we'll see another high pressure set up, and you can really expect to see some colder temperatures moving in for your weekend. Tonight in Athens, not a bad night outside. As I mentioned, some lingering showers. Temperatures right around 46 degrees. And at your bus stop tomorrow, 47. As I mentioned, those of you in the eastern parts of Ohio, you might want to keep an umbrella or a rain jacket out. You're going to see some lingering showers from this cold front moving through the region tonight. And tomorrow in Athens, a cooler, much cooler day, 15 degrees cooler than what we saw today here in Athens, 53 degrees, mostly cloudy, and obviously a break from the rain with our winds moving out of the northwest at about 10 to 15 miles an hour. So our temperatures tomorrow, Athens at 53, Ripley 53, Ironton 54. You can see that cold air starting to filter in from the north. It's keeping us a little bit cooler, but it also is going to keep us dry. You're going to see a lot more sunshine tomorrow under mostly cloudy skies. Looking at your hour by hour for your day planner tomorrow, a cloudy start to your morning, or to your afternoon rather, temperatures, 51 degrees at noon. And then we're going to slowly get chilly here behind this next cold front. Temperatures around 45 degrees around 9 p.m. And then finally checking out your 7-day forecast. A 30% chance of rain tomorrow morning. As I said, that's mainly going to be morning rain. And then look at the drop in temperatures here for your week. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, all decreasing into the 50s. And then look out for Friday football and Saturday high school football across the region. Temperatures around 33 and 28 degrees here on Saturday night. But Mackenzie, it looks like we're going to rebound nicely for Monday and Tuesday with our temperatures topping back out into the 60s.
Thanks, Chris. It's easy to fall into bad habits, but those habits may be adding more stress and less peace of mind to our busy lives. Kim Hutcherson tells us more in today's Health Minute.
We all have a few bad habits we'd like to break. For some of us, bad habits start at breakfast. Dr. Shanna Levine at the Icahn School of Medicine says to start the day with foods that are high in protein and healthy fats. Skipping the donuts and waffles will help you avoid an energy crash later on. Another bad habit is keeping your to-do list in your head. Trying to rely on memory for everything can be stressful, so keeping a notebook handy at work or home can help alleviate some of that anxiety. Having an irregular sleep schedule can also sabotage your peace of mind. Experts say you should avoid watching TV or using your phone an hour before bed and try to get at least 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep. And when you get into a good routine with your diet, fitness, or sleep, stick with it. Dr. John Torres at Harvard Medical School says it's easy to slip and return to bad habits. But remember, it's the good habits that are making you feel better. For today's Health Minute, I'm Kim Hutcherson.
Doctors recommended having a strong support system and time management skills to curb bad habits as well.
How's it going, everyone? I'm Clark Woolley. Ohio basketball forward Antonio Campbell made national headlines early this week before even playing a game this season. Plus, the Cleveland Cavaliers are in action tonight as they look to continue an impressive win streak against the Atlanta Hawks. All this and more next on Newswatch. And stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
Friday nights are all about high school football, but when the games are over and the helmets come off, it's time for some gridiron glory. I'm your host, Danny Dean, back under center. Don't miss a play this season. Join myself and the rest of our team on Friday nights at 11:30 on WOUB and catch us again on Saturday mornings at 11:30. We are committed to bringing you the stories of players, coaches, and communities, and of course, we can't forget about some highlights. We all know there's nothing better than Friday nights and gridiron glory.
Ohio University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
My professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything. Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
Welcome back. I'm Clark Woolley. Ohio men's basketball senior forward Tony Campbell has been named to the Lute Olson preseason watch list. The award is presented each year to the nation's top Division I player who has played at least 2 seasons. Campbell was an AP All-America honorable mention last season after averaging 17.1 points a game at just over 56% shooting. The Bobcats are set to open their regular season on Saturday, November 12th against Southern at the Convocation Center. An Ohio volleyball redshirt sophomore middle blocker Katie Nelson has been named to the Mid-American Conference East Division Player of the Week. This is the first time Nelson has received this honor. Nelson was crucial in helping Ohio close out its regular season at home with a split against Miami and Bowling Green. She's accumulated 10 assisted blocks this past weekend and led all Bobcats with 23 kills. Nelson has totaled 6 double-digit kills this year and will hope to lead Ohio to a victory in its final game of the season against Kent State. The Big Ten announced the games to be televised during the 2017 football season, and a familiar name was on it. The Ohio Bobcats will be televised on either ESPN or Fox when they travel to face the Purdue Boilermakers. The battle between the two will occur week 2 on Friday, September 8th. This will mark the 8th meeting between the Bobcats and the Boilermakers. Purdue has won all 7 of the previous matchups. And tonight, the Cleveland Cavaliers face off at home against the Atlanta Hawks. The Cavaliers have won the past 11 meetings between the two teams, including a series sweep in the conference semifinals of last year's playoffs. In Game 2 of that series, the Cavaliers set an NBA record for most three-pointers made in a game with 25. In tonight's matchup, the Cavs face a very different Hawks team due to the acquisition of Dwight Howard and the loss of center Al Horford. Look for Atlanta to focus on limiting Cleveland's perimeter shooting and creating their own turnovers as they currently lead the league in steals per game. Tip-off for that one is set for 7 p.m. I'm Clark Woolley, and that's it for sports. Back to you, Sean.
A Colorado woman was due to have her first child, but before delivering the baby, she made sure to drop off her ballot. Sasha Adelstein was due to have her first child today, but the baby couldn't wait. The first time mom actually started going into labor on Friday, but made sure to stop at Boulder County Clerk and Recorder's office to drop off her ballot. Aldenstein gave birth to a girl named Bella Rose. Her partner was with her when she went into labor and also made sure he voted. We are just minutes away from the polls closing, and results will soon be flooding in. WOUB's Allison Gens joins us live from the Athens County GOP headquarters as they get ready to watch the polls tonight. Allison?
Thanks, Mackenzie. The polls are just about to close and within the next few minutes, and we will soon be watching those unofficial numbers begin rolling in this evening and into our late night hours. But here I am at the Republican headquarters in Athens, and things are just getting started this evening. They have the TVs on. They are watching for those results to begin flooding in for our region, and they're also. But before that can even happen, they're starting to they've been making calls throughout the evening to make sure that Athens voters got out their vote today, and they're going to begin making calls around the country to places where the polls have not closed yet to begin to make sure that they get out their vote. Now, they're all just waiting. Now, everybody's here waiting to see those unofficial election results begin coming in. And as they begin to come in, our Newswatch team will be coming at you live from different locations around the area throughout the night to bring you updates on this election. So go to Facebook right now and follow WOUB News if you haven't yet, because that's where we'll be giving you complete coverage of the election for our Athens and region area. So. And also tune into WOUB tonight on WOUB TV for more up-to-the-minute coverage, and tune into or follow WOUB News on Twitter for also get up-to-the-minute results. So reporting live in Athens for Newswatch, I'm Allison Gens. Back to you, Mackenzie.
We apologize for these technical difficulties, but thanks, Allison. Now let's send it over to Chris for a final look at weather.
All right, thanks, Mackenzie. And go ahead and looking at our final look for temperatures tomorrow: 53 in Athens, 54 in Ironton, 53 in Columbus, 52 in Newark. A much cooler day than what we saw today, but also plenty of sunshine, and look out for maybe some morning showers here across the panhandle of West Virginia. So hour by hour, looking at your day planner tomorrow: 51 degrees around noon, and then finally looking down into 6 p.m., 45 degrees, and it's going to start to really get chilly out here. We're going to see some northwest and north winds bringing in some much cooler air from Canada, so shouldn't be too bad of a day tomorrow. Finally, looking at your 7-day forecast: 30% chance of mainly morning showers across the region. And then looking into the remainder of the week here, Thursday and Friday look to be 58 and 57 degrees. But notice the big dip in temperatures on Saturday and Sunday. Saturday's all the way down to 51 degrees, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we even get out of the 40-degree range. And so for those of you Friday night and Saturday night catch some high school playoff football across the region, grab the coats and jackets across the region, because it is going to be down to 38 and 28 degrees. And then finally on Monday and Tuesday, Mackenzie, temperatures back into 60 degrees.
All right, thanks a lot, Chris. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Sean Neidig.
And I'm Mackenzie Pyatt. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest election coverage tonight on our Facebook account for WOUB Public Media. Also visit WOUB.org for stories on all the local election results.
Friday nights are all about high school football, but when the games are over and the helmets come off, it's time for some gridiron glory. I'm your host, Danny Dean, back under center. Don't miss a play this season. Join myself and the rest of our team on Friday nights at 11:30 on WOUB, and catch us again on Saturday mornings at 11:30. We are committed to bringing you the stories of players, coaches, and communities, and of course, we can't forget about some highlights. We all know there's nothing better than Friday nights and gridiron glory.